Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Here's the Crack podcast. Straight off the bat, the news.
The news.
What's been happening recently? A lot of talk about Casement Park.
Hit it.
Let's get into it. So basically, everyone sort of knows by now, the Euros in 2028 was won by the UK and Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Casement Park was meant to be the stadium that's been put forward for Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not built.
Still...
So basically, it's been in discussions in the news and stuff this week. A lot of people are saying about the funding of it and all. So basically, the Irish government's pledged 42.8 million. The GAA has pledged 15 million. And the NI executive had originally pledged 62.5 million in 2011. But obviously, that's what, 13 years ago now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my word.
So back, I think it was agreed 2 or 3 years ago that it was going to start being built, and then obviously government's been a shit show and stuff. Don't actually know why it hasn't been, but I'm assuming that has something to do with it. So yeah, basically that money's been pledged, but there's an estimated shortfall of £100 million. So the Northern Irish government is probably going to have to
fork out
the rest of it.
Okay.
So the talk is that money better spent elsewhere, or do you go ahead and do it? And the reason why there's sort of, what would the word be?
Controversy.
Or pushback.
Okay.
All the profits will be going to the GAA because it's obviously a GAA stadium.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that other sports can't be played on it.
Yeah.
And just to put this into context, when the Kingspan was built, it was 16.5 million.
Uh-huh.
Windsor Park was 31 million.
Mm.
Casement Park was originally priced at 77 million, but now it's been estimated to be around 200.
Well, if that was 2011, even I know this is a really random thing, but I was talking to a guy the other day about building sheds, and he was like, the price of material
That's it.
has
Yeah.
gone up through the roof.
It's up about 150% in the past 2 or 3 years. So you're paying more than double.
And
Since
that's not even
2021.
including inflation and stuff over the past 10 years and stuff.
Why is it costing 200 mil if the Kingspan only cost what?
I think
you say about 20 mil?
Because it's the size of it as well.
It's a massive, it will
so
be
I think
bigger than
Windsor Park, if
60.
you want to look it up, but I think it only holds 17,500.
I think both the Kingspan and Windsor Park hold roughly around the 18,000 mark.
So they're basically too small.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Euros.
And the whole thing now is if this isn't built, it's Northern Ireland, if they're in the Euros, are either going to have to go down to Dublin,
right,
or go to the UK. Whereas I'm pretty sure if we have our own stadium, they're guaranteed in the competition.
Yeah.
So there's that to come into play, and then as well as that, there's the concerts and stuff as well, attracting bigger concerts, bigger events, and then it's the whole profit thing is basically people are not happy with. And
Derelict too, it's an eyesore at the minute, for people living around there, it's disgusting, it's an overgrown fucking trench ground. I understand people's point, they don't want so much money spent into it, but something does need done about it. It's in bad shape.
Yeah, there's a lot of heritage behind it as well.
Yeah, it's an old stadium. I think it'd be good to see it. I think I was actually at it before whenever it was in use. It must have been 10, 15 years ago, but it's in bad old shape now at the minute. But I seen the first planning application to put in for it was 2016, where they started to fix up floodlights and stuff like that there. So I think they were thinking back then they were going to try and get it back into shape, but then it's their own fault too, because they've left it this long and it's become this much of a mess, and now they're sort of just looking a bit of a bailout.
Yeah, and then I watched videos and all on it last night, and a couple of years ago it was sort of oh, this is going to start, and then it didn't, and then as well as that, I was watching the bits on the Nolan show when they were talking about it, and it was basically Windsor Park got money, Kingspan got money,
Yeah.
but why is it it took so long to get a GAA stadium? There is no GAA ground that size in in Belfast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it not because the residents don't want it?
That's one of the reasons. But the main arguments I seen of it is where's the profits going? The profits are going to the GAA, and then the whole thing around obviously religion and stuff, and like it being, I think it's East Belfast, isn't it?
West
West Belfast, sorry.
Yeah.
And like how it's like Belfast isn't a predominantly like GAA community and all that sort of stuff. Well,
I think there's probably one argument to it, which is the size of it. It is going to be considerably bigger than, like a lot more sizable than what Windsor Park and Kingspan would be. I suppose that's taking the religion side out of it from a money perspective.
but it's going to benefit the communities, like with jobs, and like it's going to attract bigger events. And even like one of the arguments was when Carl Frampton fought at Windsor, like where did that money go?
Yeah.
Do you know, like it would have went to Northern Ireland or whatever, and like
Yeah.
there wasn't kickback about that. So now when it's the GAA, like why is there such a
Yeah.
uproar about it?
Yeah.
Like,
But there's a way for whoever is hosting the event in it, they can receive the profits from it rather than the GA. Like understandably, the GA is going to get the profit whenever there's GA matches on it. But like, if they want to host the likes of a soccer match or something, why aren't they getting the profits from that? Like, where's the issue there? Like,
it's because it's a GAA stadium. Like it's the same as like.
But we're like, surely if say Northern Ireland play someone in it, like do the ticket funds, does there has to be a percentage of that goes to the GA because it's their ground?
Probably rental of the ground, like to cover costs and make some sort of profit. They'll some money will go to it. Like I don't see. I don't look at it from your like that perspective, not from your perspective, but that perspective, like a religious thing, because like at the end of the day, Northern Ireland, like we live in a community that like there is multiple people, and to be honest with you, I think like GAA is a big part of culture and even big part of the sporting like scene here, not just if Northern Ireland, but like it's a big part of this island, like and I think I don't see why we shouldn't be building something or investing in something around that side of things.
It's one of the biggest sports, if not the biggest sports in Ireland, like the whole, as a whole.
There's going to be like a saltiness because it's going to hold so many more people than the likes of Windsor on the Kingspan.
I think like so basically like what I seen on the Nolan show was like you're by Roman McDowell.
Okay.
His name is from the TV. He was the one arguing like the unionist sort of point of view on it, like his point of view anyway. And that's what he was saying, and like he was like, well, what's going to be going on Windsor Park now then? Like, is there going, if there's a big boxing fight on, it'll just be in Casement, or if there's a big concert, it's going to be in Casement? Like, it's sort of taken away from the other two stadiums, but like Northern Ireland isn't going to get to hold the Euros if this isn't built.
Yeah.
And it's been agreed, and like now there's this pushback with the Spain, but like if it's not agreed soon, it's not going to get built. Like it's 3-4 years to build it.
Yeah, it's crunch time.
So
Like
a lot of people are even saying like it'll not be done.
It's
like
last resort to, I suppose, at this stage. Like there's no other real option. Like the planning's approved for it and stuff. It's going to be difficult if they, like, people are probably thinking like, why don't they go somewhere else? Like that's not on top of people who don't want it, but it's a lot easier to get something like that passed when it's already been there before.
Well, it's the exact same thing as the Kingspan. When the Kingspan was redeveloped now, there wasn't as big of a pushback by the local residents, but there was pushback. And they were considering moving it out into somewhere. They were considering to move it out to the Maze.
Yeah.
And they didn't, because it was easier just to do it where it was.
Because they already have that there. But the one thing that pissed me off was, I had a look into it. It's a London-based architect that's designing it and construction company. Do you not think they should have given that to someone in Northern Ireland? Like, is the whole point of it not that like they're investing money into Northern Ireland and like bringing businesses in Northern Ireland into this?
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
Profiting from it? Like,
Actually,
it was a
that's
London
good
company
point.
that done it. Like,
They probably didn't go to the London company. They probably put out the tender.
oh yeah, it probably was
But
put out
like,
the tender. Like,
I do agree with you that it probably should have been done by a Northern Irish company.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
money talks, doesn't it?
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
Playing devil's advocate on it, I can actually to sort of argue for like the other side, which for full disclosure, I'm not joining the TUV tomorrow.
it's such a
Next
weird thing
What
to
about
discuss.
today,
It is such a weird thing to discuss because people obviously look at it from like a religious perspective,
I
and
don't
even
mean-
like him going, they should have put it out to tender to a Northern Irish company. I'm immediately going, if we put a clip up, you're going to get roasted for saying Northern Irish.
That's
like,
fine.
do you know what I mean?
I don't care. Wait,
But
whatever.
you know what I mean.
Anyway, the area that holds 6 counties, I can actually understand. This is me playing devil's advocate. I can understand why people are. I can understand why people would maybe want the GAA to put more money towards it than the local government. Because how much is the NI government given towards it? Do you know?
Just give me a second.
62.
Yeah, so the NI executive pledged
62 and a half.
Yes.
So
62 and a half, though. This is in 2011.
So this is why I can kind of understand some people. Now, I do believe there's some people who just aren't wanting it because they are
Bigots.
To be frank, they are bigoted. But the Kingspan they received 14 million in public funding, and that was, when was that? That was 9 years ago.
But then what would that 14 million be worth now?
It wouldn't be 60.
It wouldn't be 60.
In 9 years, it didn't times by 5.
I would say.
I know, but I'd say the cost cost to build it now.
I agree with that, but the cost of building now included on top of this, like inflation and stuff, I think the amount of money that 14 million would have got you back then is about 60 million now. Like,
but when did Northern Ireland pledge? When did the executive pledge the 60 million?
2011.
Okay, so
this is
before they pledged that before.
Fair. If they pledged that back then,
they pledged it before they pledged Kingspan. So obviously Kingspan got 5 times less money than the GA Stadium. So I can understand why. I think Casement Park should be.
But then it's a much bigger
good for
stadium. Like.
I think the GA needs to step up.
No, I understand that it's a much bigger stadium, but if they want it to just go. Everyone gets 30 mil and you can build whatever fucking stadium you want. You know what I mean?
Do you think there's a need for it to be? I know it has to be that big to cover the what do you call it, the Euros and all that, but as a GA stadium, do you think that's ever going to be filled? Like,
you think?
Well, like all Ireland finals are played.
Like the All Ireland finals.
They'll not be in there.
They'll not, but like Ulster finals.
Ulster finals.
That was one of the points as well.
They put an Ulster final in Craic Park and they wouldn't fill half of it.
Do you not think so?
I don't know. You'd be lucky to get 40,000. Like.
Well, it's not the size of Craic Park, so that's good. It'll hold 34,500 people.
So it's pretty much.
Is that it? I thought it was 50.
I thought it was more than that.
I know, but like us still like twice the
Twice
size
as
of Windsor. And
it's Windsor and the Kingspan put together.
Craic Park's 82, I think, or something like that there, but it'll probably only ever nearly be filled on an Ulster final day, which is going to be once a year, which does seem like a bit of a waste.
But then it's events and stuff as well.
with Tommy, like the events, like you imagine someone like a big artist coming along.
When does big artists come here? Like that's like one of the things for me is like the big concerts. Like we've been to concerts in Orma Park, like it is a bit rough. Like
Beyonce announced the other day. Dublin, London, no Belfast. But do you think it would attract the
I think so. Like, because like they'll be able to sell that out and make the money. Like, how much does the SSE hold?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think the SSE holds
what it hold 10?
12,000.
Oh, it's about 10,000.
Yeah.
So 3 times the size of that. Like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. Like, I suppose I look at it and I'm like, well, you know, as I said earlier on, it's a really like hard. I suppose I'm making this sentence really butchering it, but like. We live in a country with mixed religion and people have their own like interests. Like there's those who are diehard football fans. There are those who are diehard GA fans. That is part of our culture. Yeah. So, well, I don't understand why we're just, you know what I mean? Like when we get that whole GAA thing, oh, they shouldn't have this or that.
I think they've just been backed into a corner. Like I agree with what Aaron's saying. Like in terms of like the money invested, like it's going to be substantially more for this, but at the same time, like Windsor Park didn't win it. Like we didn't win the Euros based off Windsor Park or Kingspan or whatever. Like it was based off the casement being built. So
is there more planning?
And even think of the hospitality and all, like the money that would be made for Belfast as a whole. During the Euros, if there's matches played here.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just like a wee small community or people who are interested in GAA benefiting. Like it's
the amount of people
the
who
whole
come
of
over,
Belfast, and even Northern Ireland, like.
And even after the Euros, what could we do after that? Like think about the future of if that was there and built. The Euros is just a small side of what we'll get in quick succession. Like what happens after that? What the question I was going to ask was: is there more development coming for Windsor Park?
No.
I thought there was.
There is suggested development for Kingspan. So if we ever held a huge rugby tournament, which at the minute would probably be only the World Cup. So if Ireland ever got the World Cup, the sides. So have you ever been to the Kingspan?
No.
Do you know what it looks like?
Yeah. Let's
So
drove
it's,
past
it's,
it.
it's 4 separate stands.
Yeah.
The corners get filled in on the Kingspan, and it'll up its capacity by something like, I think it's like an extra 8,000 or something like that.
But then is there an argument there that if we had, obviously I appreciate the argument that, all the profits are going towards the GAA, but like say if we did hold a massive rugby tournament, like that,
Why can't it go?
why couldn't it go?
But like the profits, I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. Is like the profits for the Kingspan go to the Ulster Rugby.
So
Like the profits to Windsor go to the Northern Irish Football Federation, surely, or whatever you call them.
So I only know how the rugby works.
Yeah.
I presume it's fairly similar across the board, but the rugby works exactly like this. Your ticket sales go to the a certain percentage of. So the ticket sales are actually dictated by the tournament. So the URC has a specific price that has to be charged, and the European Championship has a specific price that has to be charged. A portion of that is allocated for the tournament. It's quite a big portion too. So something like 40%. And then the rest of it usually goes towards the stadium upkeep.
Yeah.
So with the Kingspan, 60% of your ticket goes towards the stadium upkeep, and 40% goes to the thing. And that's practically it. So if there was something being held, so for example, the Euros being held in Casement, if it's under the same rules, some of your ticket sales will be going towards the upkeep of the stadium, and some of it will be going towards the is it UEFA? Will go to UEFA, and none of it will be going to the IFA.
Yeah, but surely, like, this is just me from watching clips on the Nolan show, like the discussion and like sort of getting a vibe from like both sides. But like, it's not like all the profits are gonna go to the GAA. Like, it's not like you're gonna pay £100 for a ticket, and like £60 going straight to the GAA, and the other 40 just the cost. Like, do you know?
Yeah.
What's the other option? We don't have I've just looked it up. The minimum requirement for a stadium in the Euros is 30,000. We don't have a stadium. So there's not an option for the IFA to get any money off it anyway. So we either have it in Casement or we don't. Either way, they don't have money.
And if you show you can like pull off that successfully, like bring a tournament over here in Belfast and do it well, like you're gonna win more bids. Exactly. Like for like obviously not the Euros, but like smaller things, or like, you know, if the World Cup came to UK and Ireland, you know,
100%.
Well, Ireland didn't win the bid for the Rugby World Cup, but it was this close. It was between Ireland and France, and I think a stadium like that probably would have tipped in Ireland's favour, because Casement Park were one of the best stadiums in Ireland. And that could have been put towards the rugby bid, because the football federations and the GAA both like helped the rugby to bring it here, because we had use of what's the one in Dublin, Craic Park, and all the rest of it. So I think that probably if Casement Park was built, it could have helped us get the World Cup bid for the rugby.
Yeah,
and that would be huge.
But even like it's like the Ulster final, like Ulster GAA football only really lasts for about 5 weeks.
5 weeks, yeah.
So it's not like the GAA is going to be taking over the stadium all year.
They're not even going to be able to maintain it if it's just GAA stuff. Like it's going to be 5 weeks of the year, and they're going to really rely on other people to maintain it and keep it going. Like, I suppose that's always the fear as well. Like, to let one stadium go to shit, like, you know, are they going to look after this one? Like?
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't make Windsor Park big enough to begin with.
Yeah, well, there was people arguing, like I seen off the ball, they're like an Irish podcast stayed on, they were like asking fans at a Northern Ireland game about it all, and like some people were like, why can't we just make Windsor Park bigger?
Yeah.
Do you know, so I don't know if that's even an option.
You're sort of limited then with houses and stuff around it, like.
Because if they just made Windsor Park the right size, that's not controversial to anybody.
But is there a reason, like in terms of like architecturally, why you couldn't build it that big at the time, or is it just?
I suppose it has to be in keeping with the surroundings. So if you go any higher, you're towering over houses, blocking sunlight and stuff and streets, and
because it's right beside Tate's Avenue, like, isn't
it? You're creating foot traffic and stuff too around it. So like people living around there, sort of disturbing them. I know entrances and stuff are from Boucher Road, but there's still going to be higher foot traffic through like houses and stuff like that there. So that's probably one thing there's going to be a bit of a pushback on. I think the other thing there's going to be pushback on Casement is if there is a lot of concerts, like look what happened in Dublin with Garth Brooks. Like, if there's 5 or 6 concerts a year and it's in a like housing area, housing, like, people are going to say no to that. Like people won't want that happening. Like. There's going to be a limit on how many you can have a year as well. So that's another thing to think about. Like.
What do you think about what they were going to do back in the day before they built the Kingspan and Windsor Park? They were going to build one massive stadium in the where the maze is. I think it's a maze. I think that's where they were going to do it. They were going to build one massive stadium where the maze is, and have mad car parking at it, like proper car parking. And it was going to be a huge stadium, and the 3 sports were going to share it. So GAA, rugby, and soccer were all going to share it. There was a lot of pushback against it, but I personally thought that was a great idea.
Yeah,
because
it literally relates back to what I was saying, like about the society that we live in here is mixed.
Yeah.
So why can't everybody have a?
Do the calendars line up for it though?
Well, rugby's played from around September, October up till about April.
Yeah.
And the World Cup's also in September, October. And that would be it. I don't know about the other 2 calendars.
Stuff, yeah.
When's the Ulster final?
Is it on? Probably now in a couple of weeks, isn't it? Starting
Probably will be a clash
summertime,
there,
like is generally the maybe June. And I think doesn't soccer just end in June? I know the soccer season alternates with the Gaelic season. It's soccer's over winter and then the Gaelic starts in summer after that.
Yeah.
But
It'll be interesting to see how we further develop, because 2028's it's only
it's coming
a blink away. Like
4 years.
I remember the last time I blinked, it was 2020. We were still in COVID.
can't wait to rent my house out that week.
Ooh.
Fucking 10 grand a room.
I was going to say, with regards to budget allocations, I have good news. If you're currently driving your car, try not to crash with excitement, because drivers, 8.1 million is being allocated to fixing potholes in Northern Ireland. So now we have Stormont back. They've decided, they've went, God, these potholes are a bit of an issue, which they are. I can confirm, because this guy sitting to my right, I watched him lose a hubcap because of a pothole.
Jesus.
Not only did I lose a hubcap, but I completely fucking dented the steel wheel that the hubcap was on.
So I was looking this up. Statistics have revealed that potholes, like, it doesn't take a no-brainer to know, like, potholes in Northern Ireland, it's a big issue, like a big issue. So statistics have revealed that potholes reported by members of the public have increased year on year over the last 8 years. So it was 3,206 potholes were reported in 2015. Guess how many were reported in 2023?
6,000.
25,067 potholes. That is a 780% increase.
I have been affected by this. My Jetta was put off the road back in, when was it? Aoife actually reminded me this last week. It was on my mum's birthday, which was yesterday. I buckled the wheel in my car in a pothole on the way home from Dublin.
Yeah.
It still hasn't been fixed, because you can't buy one fucking wheel. And if you want to claim off the government, you know, to get your wheel fixed, you have to pay for it first. So I would have had to go and buy 4 sets of wheels.
And then claim it back.
And then claim the price of one fucking wheel back. It's a joke, like.
So the infrastructure minister for here, John O'Dowd, said the funding would help to deliver additional resurfacing schemes and continue to address the poor condition of the road network. So last week, the Sinn Féin minister announced 1 million of additional funding to address the problem of the potholes. So the 8.1 million investment had been made possible through a combination of additional funding from the executive, supplemented by a reallocation within his department. So obviously it's vital. Like, the thing that I was looking up, there's been about around 120,000 potholes reported to the Department of Infrastructure since 2015. I was looking up an article. They basically allocate around 6 million to claims like yours.
Yeah.
So there's this, like, I was actually reading the Armagh the other day, and there was
The Armagh.
the Armagh. Is it the Armagh?
Armagh.
The
Armagh. Whatever it is. But
Drop the
obviously there was a councillor on there who was like, it's just about going to scratch the surface. I think nice one.
Journalism.
But I just thought I'd share that we win this week, la.
We win. Wow.
We win.
6 million is probably not a lot, like.
It's not. 8.1 million. It's not.
Realistically, you put one man out to work and he gets a pothole done every month. at the rate they go at.
Someone was
Probably
saying
getting about £1 million a month.
You wouldn't get a stadium out of that.
We'll
eh?
get 10 potholes.
Someone was
year.
saying to me that apparently the council or the Department of Infrastructure can't be held responsible for pothole damage if they've marked it with yellow
Yes.
paint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
did you not know that?
So I was out the other day, I run in Mollusk, and someone was spraying a pothole. And it looked like
Such a cop out,
I'm
though.
not joking. If I'd have jumped into that pothole, I probably would have disappeared.
Such
And
a
they were
cop out,
marking
though,
it with
like-
a yellow thing, and I was
Yeah.
like, God's sake. The potholes around Mollusk were terrible, weren't they?
They're disgustingly
Yeah.
bad, especially
Really bad.
down in the industrial estate towards
Yeah.
our ex-work.
It's just high traffic
they'll mark
areas.
them, and they'll be marked for months.
Yeah.
Like they won't be touched. That they've been there that long, the markings have actually faded.
Yeah.
But like I suppose the whole idea of marking them is that they're making the driver aware of them. But
Yeah.
if you're coming around the corner and there's a fucking pothole there, like
If you're on a normal country
you
road,
swerve on in front of another car
that's
oncoming,
that's
like,
60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you go around a corner, a wee skitter of yellow in the road's not really gonna do
You're not
much.
going to see it. At night time too, like that's when mine happened. Like I was coming up the road at night time and didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
Like
And of course you were doing the speed limit, like
absolutely, I was doing 59 miles per hour.
Department of Infrastructure.
Disgusting.
In a 30.
Yeah.
In the 30s.
But yeah,
Flying high.
I've seen that. At least it's a step in the right direction. It's good to see Stormont back and actually
Wow,
Doing
making
something.
such a difference.
I wouldn't go that far.
Have you been on the new road to Derry?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my god, it is sexy.
So
Good, like,
good.
isn't
You
it?
like
From
It's good.
Belfast
you
to
know
Derry.
what, you know that scene from Cars where
I
like
was on it there.
Ramon's just skidding
Lad,
on
literally, like
low and
we were on it
slow.
there on Saturday night, but we took Aoife's car, which has got like a wheel bearing going on the left wheel, and the road was so smooth.
Chewed up
The
pothole.
only thing you could hear was the wheel shaking. Like there was no other noise, and it was actually so annoying because I wish I had took my car,
Yeah.
because then I could have just really, really enjoyed it. But it's an unbelievable road. Like,
Class, eh?
I don't. They should make all roads like that.
I remember being on that road. What's it called?
Beautiful,
What's that road called again?
Is it the Glen Sheen?
Is it the Glen Sheen Pass?
Yeah.
I remember being on the Glen Sheen Pass back from Neil's work stag.
Oh my days.
And it was me, you, was it Matt?
Yeah.
Me, you, and Matt on the way back, hungover as fuck, but it was before it was built. And there was still roadworks on it, and it was 40 mile an hour the whole way.
Jesus.
That was the
And
worst time of my life.
we were just traveling at 40, and there's people in front of us, so we couldn't even, break the law.
Yeah,
And, that was terrible. That was the worst drive home I've ever had in my life.
definitely worth a try. Check it out, guys.
Well, that's my good news this week. Anybody anything else?
Who's up? Who's up?
You go, Shay.
Oh, Jesus, I
Wang
don't
on.
even have it open.
Oh,
Good
no.
man, Shay. Organisation. So
Press that camera there. Good.
Yeah.
Were you going again?
Is this
We
on?
wrap up after this.
Yeah.
Forget mine.
So my story this week is about Limelight.
Oh.
We're doing an over 30s nightclub.
What?
So yes,
Boo.
strictly over 30s. So Limelight has announced they will host a new event, the 30 Plus Club, an early club night for those strictly over 30 years old.
An early
Yeah.
is in time.
Yes, so it's a nightclub experience aimed around the early risers. The 30 Plus Club launches parties from 9 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on April 6th. So they've released 3 events. All of them have sold out instantly.
No
so
way.
they're already like looking for a 4th date. So there's one, I think they're putting one out every month. So there's one April, May and June. Sold out instantly, but wanted to get your opinion on this. What do you think of this? Is it a good idea? I suppose the whole idea is, you go out 5 o'clock to 9, you get home in time for the last bus coming home. That's what they've sort of marketed it as. But
when
I
you're out,
suppose
you're out.
it's,
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like, it's going to be hard to go home at 9 o'clock. There's
Like
going to be
if
a
I-
lot of people
if-
being like, fuck, let's go to the pub
Yeah,
after
if the
this.
3
like.
of us were there and walked out, you'd definitely be like, no, surely you're not going home now. Like. But then I suppose 30 plus probably wains and all. But like you're hardly going to be going back to the wains at 9 p.m. while the nanny's putting them to bed. Absolutely paralytic.
See, that's the thing. It'd be hard getting a nanny at 5 o'clock too. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, but once you start at 5 o'clock, like, are you really in the mood for that sort of thing? You need
Yeah.
some pre-drinks first.
Yeah, if
to
it was a
get started.
Thursday night or something, you'd need to be leaving work at like 4. Would you
Yeah.
go?
I'm not 30.
I know, but
But if you're allowed
I
in,
know,
like,
but like my argument would be, I like going out to the pub now
During
during
the
the day.
Yeah.
Like a bit of day drinking, watch the football, a few pints, home early enough.
So this would
Tucked up in
essentially
bed.
be, oh, do you want to stay on? We'll go to the club at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, do you think this is a good
I think it's a good idea.
Could it catch on?
It's a good marketing idea.
Well,
like.
clearly it's good because it's sold
If
out.
they're selling it
Yeah.
out, right? It's something. It's good to see them trying something different as well,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
a plan to like an older audience, like because it's not even that old. But I wouldn't be fussed on
So that
nightclubs
we're
like.
getting there?
No.
No.
So never die.
And
And
if
I
you're
think like 30 plus is probably I don't have to deal with them younger ones. Like.
and if you're
Yeah.
30 and you're trying to meet someone too, if you're like,
Exactly.
you know, you're like when you get to 30, and I know a lot of people who are in and around 30
The divorce papers are
and
signed.
not
You're
the
ready
divorce
to go.
people are signed potentially, but also potentially haven't met anybody, and they're like, oh, it's like the mum's
30's
on
young,
with you.
like.
There's your
you
second
coming-
win too.
There's you coming to Sunday dinner without a woman, and you're 33. I'd
Get
say
on
people
out to
are
that
like,
club. 5 o'clock.
So
in the
what
day,
what
night,
days of the
well.
week is it? Like Saturday?
They're doing it on Saturday first for the first 3
Pretty
events.
smart, lah.
So
I like
It's
it.
also, I'm just saying, sort of, it just came into my mind there that, like, did we not mention in another podcast that, like, young people are, like, just not drinking as much? So if younger people aren't going to be drinking as much, that means the market for that sort of thing is, the age is going to get older.
Yeah.
And older people don't really want to be out all night because, you know, they have responsibilities and
Mortgages.
you know,
Milk to get on the way home.
and you know, I have heard that people when that hangovers when you're 35 are much worse than when you're 25. So maybe they're just sort of, you know, getting in there early because their market's going to be aging because younger people are just not drinking as much.
there's probably a lot of people out there who really enjoy the aspect of clubbing, but like they don't want to wait to that hour of night club with like teenagers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you go into Limelight any other night of the week, like it's probably going to be full of uni students and stuff like. So I suppose it creates a market for that kind of thing. People who genuinely enjoy the aspect of clubbing but want to get it done in a reasonable time and maybe want to go for a run the next morning, get up at 6 o'clock, keep the routine.
Smash
like.
one
It'd
out.
be interesting to see like, do you get ID'd at the door?
They said
That's
it's
what I was
very
going to
strict.
say, lah.
Like, are they like?
I think they do. Like,
You mustn't be like you're not 30.
Yeah. Sorry, you have to
You got
leave
ID
because
you're
you're
like I'm fucking 28. Like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
I
Oh
just
my
go up to the
God.
door and try and get turned away. I'm not there. I'm a young
How,
thing, like.
how sad would it be if you went up just chancing your arm, but they also didn't ID you?
Yeah.
You would be raging. Like, you'd be
They'd
like,
have to ID
wouldn't.
everyone just to make everyone feel
He's,
good. Like,
he's looking at me, 'cause, you know, found out like they wouldn't ID me, you know.
Think they
Tommy
would.
just looked directly at me like grey boy in the
"Evening,
corner.
sir."
Mr.
go on
Grey.
ahead, old man.
They'd be like
Mr.
the over
Grey.
50s tomorrow.
Straight into VIP. like.
Sorry, Ross, you're too old.
I leave and the guy's got like a wee hot water bottle and all for me. He's like, "Get you tucked up in the bed tonight, old boy."
He's like, sent a taxi for you. Know?
I think it's brilliant. I love them. We like
That's cool, like.
They're catering the songs and stuff to that generation as well,
Oh.
so it would probably be
Unreal.
songs from.
You'd think we were paid to promote this. Like,
I know,
it's not the
I
fun.
know. They'll have to give us a free entry to it. Although we'll get turned away, we're not old enough.
You know,
Rage.
But I think that's brilliant. Well
Yeah, I
done.
think it's a great idea.
still like 4 hours drinking. Like, do you know what
Uh,
I mean?
yeah,
Still
yeah.
some going.
Yeah. Then you're home early, into bed, 10 o'clock.
Don't know what.
You're
Actually, it
sold-
sounds
you're
great.
sold on
Actually,
this.
I would
You're
I would do
sold on
that. I would much rather that actually.
But we're getting to that time of the year where the evenings are getting longer.
Do you
You're going to
feel?
be coming out of this club and it's going to be bright.
Do you feel old when
don't
you go to
feel
pubs
old.
and all now?
When I go to
Depends where you go,
I
like.
wouldn't go to a nightclub. Like, I just
No,
like,
I
not,
wouldn't.
unless like
Remember
the
that
only
last
time
time
when
we
you go
were
to a
in Ollie's?
nightclub is when we are like fucked. Like
It gets
when it's
messy
like
and you don't want to go home.
you know you're at that stage, such a good buzz going, and you're like, we're not going home. Like.
Pubs are closing, they're kicking you out.
But
like.
then pubs now packed. I'm sort of going off Cathedral Quarter, like, because you
Yeah.
just go and you're like can't move.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That
I'd
night,
rather go out early, get home early,
Yeah.
get a seat somewhere even, and then if you want to stay on, you just
rest,
seat.
rest your weary hip.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I know, but like,
Yeah. No,
it's
I
not
agree.
worse than going into a pub and it's jam packed, like, and you still.
Yeah.
So it's alright when you have a few drinks in and you're like having a good time.
I must
but
admit, I come up here today. I got the train up. Got met Xorn's leaving me home, and was up at 5. Dirted up and then went to the pub across the road
Did you?
and sat and edited some of the podcast clips and had a pint of Guinness. And then he met me and I was
bliss.
like, This is-
I met him and also had a pint of 0% Guinness.
I'm
And
so jealous.
I had a alcoholic pint, but
Did you?
I was just I was just sitting there like, may as well.
Or do you go to the post office house?
Yeah.
Nice.
it's
Lovely.
nice in there.
Sitting
It's
It's
outside.
really nice. They're not sponsoring us, but it is nice in there.
Wee blanket
Fucking
round me.
Limelight on post size. Where's the money?
You'll find the
Where's the
invoice
funds?
next week.
Where's the funds?
We're
guys?
going to send a bunch of distinguished gentlemen in your direction and ladies. Listen, I think we'll wrap that up there. It's good to cover some of the news this week.
Good. If you want to have your say on any of the Casement Park stuff or anything else we've mentioned,
If you're going to
if
the
you're
over 30s,
attending the over 30s,
let us know. Let us know how it was as well.
yeah.
I think as we're tackling like a lot of these topics in the news and stuff, like the likes of the Casement Park stuff, like I think we're kind of coming from it where it's like, you know, a lot of people don't know the details. So like if there's anything that we've maybe said that isn't factually correct or anything that you want to add, let us know.
Come
Yes,
and rinse
sir.
us in the comments on TikTok.
Let's go. But yes, thank you very, very much for listening, and we will see you next week. Cheerio.
Bye.